Yesterday we learned why Joseph of Arimathea was important theologically. Today on Answers for Living we learn why Joseph of Arimathea was important spiritually. You know, every story in the Bible is there to teach us about God or about ourselves or about how God responds to us. Let me just share with you a couple verses. These verses are about the people of Israel and their journey through the wilderness and what they did and how God responded. So remember that. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 says, "Now these things occurred as examples to keep us from setting our hearts on evil things as they did. These things happened to them as examples and were written down as warnings for us, on whom the culmination of the ages has come." Romans chapter 15 verse 4 says, "For everything that was written in the past was written to teach us, so that through the endurance taught in the Scriptures and the encouragement they provide, we might have hope." So the stories in the Old Testament were recorded as warnings, they were recorded as examples, and they were recorded for our instruction. And so are the New Testament stories. So let's learn some life lessons from a secret disciple. Number one is this: a warning to the strong spiritually. We're talking about a warning to those who have grown strong in their faith, those who are walking in faith, those who are looked up to as spiritual leaders. Here's the warning: we are never as strong as we think. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1 to 3 says this: "For I do not want you to be ignorant of the fact, brothers and sisters, that our ancestors were all under the cloud, and that they all passed through the sea. They were all baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and they all ate the same spiritual food." Now what he's saying is that all the people of Israel, all the adults, went through the same events, but not one adult over the age of 20 made it to the promised land. Only Caleb and Joshua. Not even Moses. And he was strong in the Lord. We need to remember, a good start doesn't mean a happy ending. Overconfidence can mess you up. Just look at the disciples. Jesus called them, and they followed. Then they left their nets, they left their boats, they left their businesses. He said, "Follow," and they followed. Jesus said, "You're going to have to take up your cross and follow me." And they still followed. And they said they would die for Jesus. But when Jesus was arrested and he was crucified, they went into hiding. They were scared. They denied him. They betrayed him. And when his body was going to be taken down and thrown into the dump, where were they? Well, so all the men who were with Jesus for 3 years were hiding. But it was a secret disciple, Joseph of Arimathea, who steps forward. Now, someone said, Christians are like tea bags. You only know what they are when you're put into hot water. Well, why do I tell you that? Well, number one is this: we're going to be judged as we judge others. You ever wonder what Peter would have said to the two secret followers, Joseph of Arimathea and to Nicodemus? He would have blasted them for their secrecy. But it was Peter who denied that he ever knew the Lord and ran away. It was the secret followers who stood up and buried the body. You know, Matthew chapter 7, 1 to 5 warns us not to judge others. It means we don't judge others' motives. And before we try to correct somebody, we better make sure the log in our spiritual eye has been cleaned out. So be careful when you start to criticize. You don't know somebody's spiritual growth or their salvation. So be careful.